Hello, you're right on time for PLG, Politics, Leadership and Governance. You're watching Maisa TV. My name is Ridah Kering Chebet. I'm not alone in the studio with Mr. Bushabi Jr. How are you and welcome?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Asante sana.
Yes, Bushabi Jr. is in studio to help me talk about the politics, leadership and governance of the country. A lot to talk about, especially in terms of politics. Remember, you can share your opinion. Our studio number is 0746 999 Feel free to text, call or WhatsApp that number and you will be part of this discussion. Bushabi Jr., first of all, as it is the norm, I'd like you to paint a picture of the state of the nation in terms of politics, leadership and governance.
Well, the nation is still mourning, still reeling on the after effects of the passing of former Prime Minister and ODM party leader Raila Odinga. And we are seeing a number of guests, high level to low level guests, strolling to the Opoda farm to, lay wreaths and say condolences to the family of Raila Odinga. And notably, we have seen the likes of Gideon Moi, who went there with some high-level guests, a former president of Ghana, if I'm not wrong, stand to be corrected. We've seen Mount Kenya elders who've also gone there. We've seen Charlene Ruto, who has also been there. And that tells you the trajectory of the country is that of reeling, from the after effects of Raila's death. And so the country is still sensitive in that area. And it might take some time for Kenyans to come to terms. Even right now, if you play a clip of Raila Odinga, it's almost impossible to believe that this person is not on earth. You hear his voice and feel like, no, this man is not dead, he's still there. And so Kenyans are coming to terms with his death. But at the same time, the political scene is also trying to come to terms with his death. The post-Raila politics is taking shape, both in ODM, within ODM, outside ODM, and to other political scenes in the country. And we are experiencing a number of reactions in forms of statements that are coming out, actions and inactions. We have seen and heard rumors that two things, either former impeached deputy president Ridah Kering visited the Opoda farm, but the photos and the videos have not been released, or he's planning to visit very soon. And it could be that he has already visited. It's only that, because of the nature of the sensitivity of in the political scene, maybe we are not being shown the videos and the photos, but it's either of the two. But I'm 100% sure that Ridah Kering will visit Opoda farm and the grave of Raila Odinga to, show his respect. But we're also seeing other political players trying to take positions. We've seen acting party leader Oburu Oginga taking control of ODM party, reaching out to Babu Owino, reaching out to Edwin Sifuna. We have seen President William Ruto throwing out statements here and there, also basing his politics on Raila Odinga. In Malava, he said the only person who could compete him is Raila Odinga, and he's not there. Now the united opposition atawanyorosha asubuhi na mapema. So everyone is trying to build their political empire on the grave of Raila Odinga. And that is the state of the nation politically right now. In terms of governance, personally, I'm yet to see serious, will to govern the country. Politics is different from governance. I'm yet to see that, because when you look at pointers like the health sector, you look at the pointers like the education sector, you clearly notice that there's no governance, there's no leadership. But you would see a lot of politics directed towards those sectors. How do you send money, capitation money, when schools have closed? How do you have lecturers on strike a whole semester and you're just okay with it? And you're just fine, there's no problem. How do you have hospitals unable to, treat patients? And it doesn't matter if it's one patient or two. How do you get to that level where people have to pay from their own pockets even after paying for this insurance thing? And at the end of the day, the solution is politics. Unapigwa ma-PR, unaambiwa, this St. Mary's Hospital, I'm being told, is still in jeopardy. It's almost grounded. Yet we saw health CS Aden Duale taking photos with the bishops there and, clasping their hands together and saying everything is fine, money has been paid and all that. But I'm being told, I think I saw that also from Peter Salasya, saying this thing is not working. It was just PR at the end of the day. That's what I'm telling you. In terms of governance, we are seeing a lot of PR, a lot of PR in critical sectors. And there's an intent to prop up, psyops and prop up objects that will excite Kenyans to forget the real issues that are affecting them. I don't know why, but at the end of the day, that's how Kenya does its politics.
So, in short, it is politics that is currently at the center stage.
Of course, it's politics. We're just 1.5 years away from general elections, and you don't expect anything. So I've seen some prophets saying that 2026 is going to be a blossoming year. The price of things are going to come. That's not prophecy. That's absolutely not prophecy. All election cycles, a year to elections. We saw Uhuru Kenyatta even giving people free maize and I don't know what, subsidies and stuff, just because it's a year to election. We've seen these things. It's not prophecy. Don't come out to tell people that, 2026 is the year of the Lord. Things are going to come down. So the price of what will come. That is obvious. Because these guys are coming back with the money they stole for the last 4 years. They are coming back now to entice you. They are going to announce a lot of things. You will see young people being given 50,000 shillings. You'll see women being given money. They will tell you the price of this is now over. The very person who found the ID registration and acquisition free of charge, introduced a fee of 300 shillings and 1,000 shillings, suddenly comes back as a messiah to tell you, I've now removed that. You see, initially it was this, now I've removed it. But you are the person who put it there.
Although Dumaseta said that Kenyans are still paying 1,100.
That is exactly what I'm talking about. It's just politics at the end of the day. So it's not prophecy. It's going to happen. 2026, you're going to see a lot of money in circulation. You're going to see a lot of tokenism. People are going to be given goodies of all kinds. Regions are going to be promised all kinds of things. Already you've seen every town is now going to be a city in the next 2 years or in the next 3 years. We're going to be told a lot of things. You're going to be promised. You're going to be given a lot of tokens in 2026. So it's not prophecy. It has nothing to do with prophecy. Ini kitu hata mtoto wa class 2 akikaa chini angalie how we vote. Every last year of every election period, we are going to have these contestants, whether it's an MP, whether it's the president or governor, whoever wants the seat, they will do everything to try and make life look better for their people so that they can get votes. So you see prophecy.
All right, you're watching PLG Politics, Leadership and Governance. What do you think of the state of the nation in terms of politics, leadership and governance? Share your opinions. Our studio number is 0746 999 841. Let's now shift focus to some politics. Of course, we're going to talk about ODM Edwin Sifuna announced that the party will remain in the broad-based government. Were you shocked with this announcement?
I wasn't shocked. For two reasons, I wasn't shocked. One, Edwin Sifuna has only one capital in politics, and that's popularity. So, when the only capital you have as a politician is popularity, it is not enough for you to take over a political party. Two, Edwin Sifuna does not have the financial muscle to run a political party. Even if he's given ODM to run it for 2 months, I don't know where he'll get the money to run ODM for 2 months. So the only capital Edwin Sifuna has is popularity. So Edwin Sifuna, looking ahead, knows very well that even if he forms a political party, where is he going to get the money to run that political party? Even just to pay for the offices, the headquarters offices alone. What about all those wards and constituencies where you're supposed to have an office? How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to pay workers? How are you going to pay staff? Where are you going to get all the money? So it's tough for him. So popularity alone as a capital for Edwin Sifuna couldn't guarantee him heads up or headway to get out of ODM. It would do more harm to him and equally harm to the ODM party itself. So the best thing and the wisest thing that the acting party leader Oburu Oginga did was, one, to avoid internal split. He had to court Edwin Sifuna and loosen some ground on the demands of Edwin Sifuna. That, hey, listen, I know you're against this broad-based thing. You have never been for it. And people need to understand the Edwin Sifuna as Secretary General of ODM party, and Edwin Sifuna as a senator, and Edwin Sifuna as Sifuna. Vile huwa anasema mimi ndio Sifuna. So you have to know who is talking at what time. So when Edwin Sifuna, as the Secretary General of ODM party, came out to say we shall remain in broad-based government, he was not speaking for Sifuna the senator or Sifuna the personal person who was speaking. He was speaking the agreements and the resolutions of ODM party. So you cannot come out to say that ODM, Sifuna has betrayed you because he read that statement. That's an office. What do you expect him to read? And he's the Secretary General. And the Central Committee has passed a resolution saying we shall remain in broad-based government. And this is ODM, Orange Democratic Movement. Democracy has already taken place in the Central Committee. So how do you expect Edwin Sifuna to come out and say that, read something totally different? So that is not Edwin Sifuna as a person who many Kenyans believe in and know. That is Edwin Sifuna, the Secretary General of ODM party. So that is why for me, I was not shocked. Because one, it's a win-win for both Oburu Oginga and Edwin Sifuna. Because Edwin Sifuna can do so well inside ODM. He can fight for Raila's legacy while still inside ODM rather than outside ODM. And for Oburu Oginga, he can postpone the internal rifts within ODM by retaining Sifuna inside ODM party. And by reaching to Babu Owino and telling him, listen, come back and take the gubernatorial ticket ya ODM ya Nairobi County. We will give it to you as long as you win the nomination. And I've seen on Thursday, Oburu Oginga was sitting on the chair of Babu Owino. They had met and they were seated there and, you know, they were talking. And that's a good thing. Oburu Oginga is taking charge of the party. I don't know for how long he will postpone the split because everyone can see the split coming. But as long as, like I said here before he even did that, I had told the ODM, do this, maintain the status quo. Keep Edwin Sifuna in ODM, keep Babu Owino in ODM. Don't kick out anybody from ODM. Don't. Because when you maintain the status quo, just as Raila Odinga did, Sifuna was against broad-based and Raila Odinga alikuwa. Sasa nyinyi ni nani wenye mnakuja saa hii ati mnataka mfukuze Sifuna kwa sababu ati yako against broad-based? Sifuna ndiye alisaini hiyo vitu ya MOU, signature yake iko as the SG, but he was against the broad-based. Na Raila allowed it. Allowed Sifuna to talk. He allowed the minority to have their say and the majority to have their way. Sasa nyinyi ni nani wenye Raila sasa ameenda mnakuja mnaanzisha demokrasi yenu, which is not even democracy, it's autocracy. So badilisheni hiyo party muite Orange Autocracy Movement. Kama kazi yenu ni kukaa na kuamua huyu fulani alikuwa na mawazo tofauti ndani ya party, tumfukuze, then badilisheni jina ya party. Badala ya ODM muite OAM, Orange Autocracy Movement.
Well, just as you said, after Raila Odinga's death and even during the burial, after Sifuna's speech, most of the leaders in ODM party, led by Kileleshwa, MCA Robert Alai, are calling for the resignation or the ouster of Edwin Sifuna, and those speaking of different voices against the ODM party. But right now, the acting party leader, that is Oburu Odinga, says that Sifuna is going nowhere. And as you said, he's also calling on Babu Owino to come and, if he wins the nomination ticket for ODM party in Nairobi's gubernatorial seat, then he'll be given the ODM's ticket. What do you think is Oburu's goal as a party leader, given that Raila is vesting now?
I think Oburu is trying to keep, he's more focused on the unity and the continuity of the party rather than the political gains. He's more focused on maintaining the status quo. That, hey, listen. In fact, there's a point I skipped in making. I said that Oburu Oginga and the Central Committee members listened to Sifuna. They ceded some ground by agreeing with Sifuna and those who are practicing the ideology of Sifuna that, hey, listen, the broad-based support that we are giving William Ruto will only last up to 2027. That is good news to Sifuna, because the only thing Sifuna does not want to hear is that ODM is going to support William Ruto in 2027.
And even he was open on that.
Exactly. He said if in 2027 ODM will say that they are going to support Ruto, he will not read it, meaning he will resign. And I think that is a good thing. And so it's a big blow to people like Robert Alai, you know. Robert Alai and Kina Sifuna, those are still young and they have their own beefs. But I know it will come to an end. Remember in 2022, there was an altercation between Sifuna and Alai, even while Raila Odinga, just in a campaign trail. And Sifuna really punched Alai in the face, like literally ngumi, alipiga Alai ngumi kwa uso. And you could hear Raila Odinga calling, Alai, wacha ujinga, tulia, nini, stuff like that. So these guys have not started fighting today. Hao wamekuwa tuna beef zao. Kwa nyumba kuna wale watoto wanatuanganaga tu, especially wale wakufuatana. Si ati wanachukiana, lakini wanatuangana. And then another thing, Sifuna needs a lie. Because hakuna tu venye utashine. You need somebody to always hit you on the head and remind you, hey, you need to think. Don't let this fame and popularity get into your head. So you need the people such as Robert Alai to keep you in check. Anamuka tu anasema huyu mtu afai kukua ODM. so that you go back and think about yourself, kwani nimefanya nini? And then mwenyewe unajiassess, unapata maybe nimefanya makosa, unajiweka. You need people like Alai in ODM. So nobody should be kicked out of ODM. And see, it's not a blow to Alai. It is how the party should run. It's a democratic space. If Alai comes out to say Sifuna should be kicked out of ODM, it is his opinion.
Yeah.
It is his opinion, and it's acceptable, because in ODM it's a democracy. You can have your say. Then Sifuna will have his way, and Sifuna has had his way. Alai has had his say, and life goes on. So I don't think it's a huge blow. It's a huge blow if anybody was doing it maliciously. Just because you hate somebody. Unajua kuna watu wanakuchukia tu. Yani anaona yeye anafaa kukushinda. Hata ile position yenye uko nayo we haustahili. Ni yeye anastahili. Na yeye ndio mediocre, hana mbele wala nyuma. Hana akili, hana wisdom, lakini anaamini tu wewe haufai kukua hapo. Yeye ndiye anafaa kuwa hapo. Your success haifai kukua yako, inafaa ikuwe yako. And is the laziest, confused person. We have such people in every sector, even in families, even in industries. Kuna wale watu kazi yao ni kukaa hivyo wanakuangalia na wanasema, kwa nini ni huyu ndio yuko hapa? Mimi ndio nafaa nikuwe hapo. But you're a lazy person, confused, hauna wisdom, hauna work ethics, you cannot achieve anything in your life. Lakini unatamani positions za watu wengine. So if akina Alai are doing that just because of envy and jealousy, that Sifuna is performing well, he's becoming popular, now wamekuwa hapo for long, maybe longer, na hawajawahi fika ile level ambayo Sifuna amefika. Kama wanaifanya na wanasema hayo maneno kwa chuki, then sasa it's a big blow, because Oburu has come to say Sifuna is going nowhere, and Babu Owino is going nowhere. And you see, the future of ODM, even Oburu Oginga said it. He said that even the Luo community should not ever say that Oburu Oginga is the kingpin of Luo community. Because aliwaambia ukweli, yako kwa twilight years, anaishi bonus. Sasa kingpin mgani anaishi bonus? He told them the kingpin anakuja na atatoka kwa hawa young people. One of these young people, the kina Babu Owino, akina this other one wa internal security PS anaitwanga nani? Kina Raymond Omolo. These young people, one of them will mushroom and become the kingpin of the Luo community. Just the same way when Jaramogi died. Wamalwa kijana akainuka, Wamalwa akapotea, Raila akainuka. Somebody will always emerge. Somebody will always emerge. Raila hakuchaguliwa kuwa kingpin wa Luo community. He just emerged, and he has been there for 40 years. For that generation, it's gone. That generation of Raila Odinga, don't again point your fingers and say huyo ndio kingpin. Your generation mambo yao iko inaisha. You see? So the next generation, think of somebody who's going to be there for another 40 years. Now ni the likes of kina Babu, kina Raymond, now vijana wa young. Lakini hiyo team ya kina Oburu Oginga, don't bank on them as saying at a kingpin. There's no kingpin there. You cannot be a kingpin for 1 year. You cannot be a kingpin for 2 years. You're supposed to be a kingpin for a generation that lasts around 30 to 40 years. So you must think of continuity as ODM. And that is why Oburu Oginga is thinking, akina Sifuna, akina Babu, akina nani, these young people are the future of ODM. You cannot afford to kick them out of the party. Sasa kick out the young generation out of the party, sasa kesho kutakuwa na ODM. Unataka kusema ODM mnataka kuirudisha to a Luo party with all the people, yet the future is always in the young people. It doesn't work like that. And Oburu is demonstrating leadership, wisdom. He has nothing to gain, he has nothing to lose at the end of the day. Hataki kuwa president. He cannot run for presidency. Hata anaweza amua hana haja na hiyo senator. Anaweza amua tu akae akuwe mkubwa wa hiyo ODM. He is not biased. He is not interested in anything. And I think this is good for ODM for transition.
Let's talk about the statement of Ruth Odinga, Raila Odinga's younger sister. She said that, like I have always indicated, the broad-based arrangement was to steady the ship that was Kenya until 2027. You cannot, as a member of ODM party in the broad-based government, start shouting two-term. What will be your negotiating age post-2027 polls? Our focus right now should be on strengthening the party, getting the right candidates who will deliver victory. Shouting two-term right now will not add any value to the party. And you've seen this statement has really angered some of ODM leaders, starting with Robert Alai.
Why should you be angry? Why are you shouting two-term? When you know you have Malava hata mjaweka candidate, uko Kasipula hata mjika mtashinda. You don't even know if 2027 you will have the parliamentarians. At the backbone of by-elections zenye watu wamekatata tickets za ODM. Na wewe na akili yako inakwambia ndio ushout two-term. Shouldn't you be thinking about your party? About strengthening your party first?
There are leaders in ODM like Kisii Governor Simbarati who are saying that William Ruto should in fact...
No, those ones are just confused. Acha nikuambie, ukiona mwanaume anaabudu mwanaume mwenzake, mpaka anaanza kulamba mwanaume mwenzake, amepewa pesa. Hiyo tusidanganyane, ni mtu amekula. So when you see somebody, alikuwa tu na akili mzuri and suddenly amekuwa mjinga, anaanza tu kuongea vitu upumbavu, mpaka wewe unakuza, what is this person talking about? If it's a man, just follow the money. Hao watu wamekula. They don't care about ODM. They don't care about ODM. They care about their stomachs. After 2027, takula wapi? So that's why you see them, hao walikuwa wana hang on Raila's coat. Hao ndo walikuwa leeches and ticks wenye wananyonya damu ya Raila. Now that Raila hayuko, they are looking for another host, another animal ya kukunywa damu. Sasa wamerukia Ruto. Ukiangalia Ruto tu vizuri, utaona a lot of ticks from ODM zimehang tu, zinakunywa damu. Ruto akifanya namna hii, anasema hapana, niko hapa. Wewe kwa tu party leader wetu hata ODM ushinde. They don't want to be removed as ticks from the body of William Ruto. So wamerukia William Ruto as ticks. That is why they are saying whatever but anybody, I like Ruth Odinga. She's speaking the truth. She's speaking the truth. I like the way Oburu Odinga say, what truth? So if Oburu asks me, what truth? I will say, the truth that you should be focusing on strengthening ODM. ODM is under threat of transition. Raila Odinga is not there. People are not used to going to elections without Raila Odinga. It is the first time ODM is going into an election without Raila Odinga. Mwenye alikuwa anabeba mikono za watu, anasema chagua huyu, chagua yule. Do you have a campaign strategy? Because ule wa kusema chagueni huyu hayuko. Instead of you sitting down and coming up with a paper, a study, a statistics, discussing on how you're going to win elective seats, MPs, MCAs, women reps, and taking over all the houses of parliament, you are here shouting two-term. Two-term mwenyewe ni ya mtu mmoja. Huyo mtu ni William Ruto, huko unasema two-term. William Ruto mwenyewe ni party leader wa UDA. Are you mad? And you are coming from ODM. Are you mad? Hata kama ni pesa unapewa. Are you mad? It's useless. Ruth Odinga, she's very right. And that's the truth she's talking about. I support her 100%.
There's a statement that also Oburu Oginga said some time back, some few days ago. And he said that right now we are in broad-based government, but automatically we will support Ruto in 2027. I
remember that statement very well. He did not say automatically we will support. He said if you have worked well with William Ruto on the 10-point agenda, if it has worked, then that would be automatic. And then he left a blank space. Fill in. Automatic what? Are you going to support him or not support him? And he was very careful to leave a blank space. Because he knew if he had just said, we will support William Ruto, it would cost ripples, But what wataenda? Wacha nikwambie ukweli. Hii ODM 3/4 hakuna mtu anasupport Ruto. If today Oburu akitaka tu kuua hii party, wacha akuja asema ana support Ruto in 2027, you'll see mass exodus from ODM. And he knows he cannot say that, so you leave a blank space there so that nyinyi wenyewe mujijazie. So there is no way Oburu can subject ODM party to an agreement that has not been discussed by the party. That is not how it works. Just because you're a party leader or a secretary general or whoever you are, a chairperson, you cannot commit a party to a matter that the organs of the party have not discussed, deliberated on and approved. So hizi statements zingine zote, hizi ni opinions. Hizi ni opinions za watu. And Oburu Oginga has to be very careful about his statements on supporting William Ruto. He's the party leader sahi. And Raila Odinga also used to go round and round and round about supporting William Ruto because he was careful. He knew that if you go out there right now and say you're going to support William Ruto, even if that is what you're going to do, if you say it today, you will split ODM as early as now. So he cannot afford. Oburu Oginga should be very careful on saying that they're going to support William Ruto in 2027. Perhaps they should wait until 2026. Ikiisha ndio waseme tumekubaliana na hivi na hivi. So hata hapo kukikuwa na split, you can manage it. Utakuwa umejua ni kina nani wanaweza tuacha, kina nani hawezi tuacha. Then the good thing about Oburu Oginga is that by reaching out to kina Sifuna and maintaining kina Babu and putting the party together, he has managed to create a space for building consensus. For example, if somebody like Edwin Sifuna, who does not support Ruto at all costs, you have time to sit down with him now and say, you know, we said we'll support broad-based until 2027. What do you think? So jamaa tunaweza support. Let Edwin Sifuna rant and say I can never do that. But you have a whole year and a half to convince him. So it's a good thing. But Oburu should avoid ever giving hints
that
they will support Ruto now. He should wait until maybe towards the end of 2026. And in his speech, he said if there is a successful partnership up to 2027, it is automatic. Now, ask yourself, what determines the success of the partnership? It is determined by the 10-point agenda. Now, let's start taking the 10-point agenda, extrajudicial killings. Has it been achieved? No. Almost 7 of those points have not been achieved. So, will you call it a successful partnership or a failure? That is why people should not be worried. If Oburu Oginga is a wise leader, he will base decisions on the 10-point agenda. If it has failed, then there's no way you can force a second term after you failed in even implementing something small as an MOU in the first term. And Kenyans can see that you failed. And then you come back to Kenyans and tell, now give us the second term. Even as ODM, we support the second term. After you failed, both of you, now you want a second term to fail again? That's the question Kenyans will ask them. And so when he said that, I think he meant the success of the implementation of the 10-point agenda. And I just want to make this final statement, that the unity of ODM is not just unity of personalities. It's not just unity on the legacy of Raila Odinga. It is the unity of the ideology of ODM as a party. What is ODM built on? What is it built on? I can't teach people what it is built on. The followers and supporters of ODM and members of ODM know exactly what Raila Odinga believed in and what ODM stands for. If they want to throw away that through the window and go another direction, it's up to them. So they should make decisions basing on the ideology, the unity of ideology of ODM. That is where the decisions should come from.
All right, you're watching PLG Politics, Leadership and Governance. This is Maisa TV. My name is Ridah Kering Chebet. In studio, we have Bushabi Jr. We're talking about the state of the nation in terms of politics, leadership and governance. Now, there's a clip of President William Ruto who spoke on Wednesday That is October 29th, 2025. And he said, let me just quote him about what he say. Wale waliokuwa wakinisumbua na sufuria kwa kichwa wameondoka. That is the statement that has been clipped to that extent, and critics argue the president was talking about a departed leader. But let's listen to the whole clip while in Nakuru, then we'll be back.
Mimi nawashukuru, nyinyi ni wakulima sugu sana. Mumenisaidia kuzalisha chakula. Si mnajua kulikuwa na watu walikuwa wananisumbua kule Nairobi kwa street na kipuria kwa kichwa. Siku hizi wameondoka kwa sababu nyinyi mmenisaidia, mnazalisha chakula. Tumepunguza gharama ya mbolea, tumepunguza gharama ya mbegu, tuhakikisha kwamba wakulima wetu wanatusaidia kuzalisha chakula, tuondoe njaa katika taifa letu la Kenya.
All right, that is the clip there of President William Ruto while in Nakuru. What do you make of the clip, Bushebi?
Of course, I've come across that people are saying that President was talking about Raila Odinga. But I think we need to put this in context to understand what William Ruto was talking about. First of all, President William Ruto is a politician. Before he became president or an MP or anything, he was first just a politician. And his politics has always been rotating around some, I don't know whether to call it abuse or just statements, you know. Somebody said a society cannot survive without abuses. You cannot legislate abuses. What is hate speech? There was a time even the government started saying, Sipanguingu is hate speech. Yeah. It's so hard. And so, excuse me, the president has always been doing his politics in terms of watu wa masufuria, yule muganga, watu wa ukabila, watu wa nini. And he was speaking in Nakuru, if I'm not wrong, and he was saying that wale farmers wa Nakuru have produced enough food to help him keep watu wa kuvaa masufuria kwa kichwa away from the streets in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a piece of that clip was taken and was shared. That's the first thing that many Kenyans came across, not the whole statement. And that became something that's worrying. First, I think on the part of the president, he needs to be cautious when it comes to timing. People are still mourning Raila Odinga. People don't even understand how he died. There's somebody who said they switched off the machine. There's another one who said, you know, Raila Odinga died on her hands. There's another one who said Raila collapsed. There are all kinds of stories and controversial stories running out there. And people are still mourning, you know. Some people just don't want to believe that even Raila Odinga is dead. People are in denial. And then suddenly, the president comes out to say, wale watu wa kuvaa sufuria kwa kichwa wametuondokea. And somebody picks up that piece alone, puts it out there. And so people are not listening to the whole clip. They are listening to that small bit where the president said, hawa watu wa kuvaa masufuria kwa kichwa wametuondokea. And Kenyans know kiongozi wa watu wa kuvaa masufuria kwa kichwa alikuwa Raila Odinga. And so immediately a narrative has been formed. And it might be very hard to convince people that, hey, listen, let's put this thing in context. The president was talking about ABCD. So who are you going to blame about this? I think President William Ruto ought to be careful, especially when it comes to talking about how his battle with Raila Odinga was before 2022 elections and after 2022 elections. I think he should focus more on the handshake he had with Raila Odinga and how they became friends and stuff like that, and try to ignore anything that will, that his critics can use against him, especially this one. In my opinion, I think is the timing of what he said is what is worrying.
Uh-huh.
You don't say such things when people are still mourning Raila Odinga. And it's not just that. In Malava, he said Raila Odinga is the only person who could beat him in 2027, and right now he's not there. You know, you leave room for wachaneni na huyu mzee apumzike. Achaneni tu mzee. And you see that coming from the president. People are like, are you celebrating that he's not there now? You're going to beat the united opposition? You know, Kenyans begin to interrogate these issues and they're like, what is? And you know Kenyans
There's given room for speculation.
Exactly, conspiracy theories, and people will begin making content out of this, and before you know it, it's a narrative you cannot control. Yet it started from just like a small clip that was not shared in the full context, and then in another clip, maybe in Malava, where the context was totally different. The president wanted to pass a point and say, you know, united opposition hawajiwezi na hawaniwezi. But instead, to push his point further, he decided to invoke the name of Raila Odinga. And when you invoke the name of Raila Odinga, it changes everything. People are like, okay, so what? Are you celebrating that this man is not here now? You're going to beat the united opposition? So I think every politician should now leave the name of Raila Odinga from their mouths. And when you have to speak about Raila Odinga, I think you have to be careful. Situache umze arrest. Si wache huyu mzee arrest in peace, because I've seen this thing, you know, trending, and it's not a good thing. Unajua vitu huanza kimchezo sana, vitu huanzaga, you know, aita siku mbili inaanza kigashagwa, tutamuimpeach 2 weeks watu watakuwa wamemsahau, and then you realize umeunda monster. So I think not just the president, but everybody who is trying to campaign should be careful that no matter the context, whether you are talking about because like in Nakuru, the president was talking about farming. But when you question it further, you ask yourself, do you really think it is Nakuru farmers who made the protesters in Nairobi to stop protesting about the high cost of living? It's not Nakuru farmers. So people will begin to interrogate these speeches, and it will paint the president in bad light. That, hey, wait a minute. Now couple that with the fact that he signed eight bills into law after getting the information that Raila Odinga has passed on. And Kenyans criticized the president for that. So Kenyans will begin to connect the dots. Before you know it, it's a conspiracy theory. Before you know it, some people, gullible Kenyans, will buy the narrative. And you don't know what it will culminate to. Si Tanzania ilikuwa mchezo. Nani aliamini Tanzania watu wanaweza andamana? Nani aliamini Tanzania watu wanaweza choma high court huko Mbeya? Nani alijua watachoma boda ya Malawi na Tanzania? Nani alijua Tanzania wanaweza imba yote yawezekana bila mama? Nani alijua? Si huyo Suluhu alikuwa anatukana Kenya, wana tabia mbaya, sijui wa Tanzania watu watulivu. Tanzania kumeumana. Na kimeumana kiujinga sana. Kimchezo something that you can just avoid. So I would advise politicians, when you want to talk about Raila Odinga, just know this Raila Odinga right now is an altar that we should avoid. Especially a very emotive altar. Right now his grave has been turned into a shrine. Everyone wants to go there and do something on that grave. That tells you how powerful this man, even in death. Please don't invoke his name in bad light. Utaanza kupigana vita ya ma altars. You'll start fighting with altars that you are not ready to fight with.
Well, I'd like us to shift focus now. In Africa, we have a lot of countries in electioneering period, but I'd like us to talk about the country you've just mentioned, Tanzania, our neighbor. And they were in elections on 29th of October.
There was no election in Tanzania.
There was election on 29th of October 2025. The same day there are elections, it's the same day the Gen Zs decided to protest, saying that they were not allowed to practice, of course, their democratic rights. Opposition leaders were jailed, intimidated. So it's like the president alone, that is Samia Suluhu Hassan, who was in the ballot. Is there a way Tanzanian president could have averted the shame that we've seen? Because as you said, no one expected Tanzania to protest to be the way it appeared, banning police stations, high court, and all that.
Yes, there was a window and a huge gate for the president to have averted a lot of stuff. And she had an opportunity to elevate Tanzania to a high level, another Singapore, if she wanted. That is first by allowing for reforms for a new constitution. Because when you look at the constitution of Tanzania, once the electoral body announces the president-elect, you cannot challenge that in the court of law. The commission itself is appointed by the sitting president. They do not go through parliamentarians vetting. They don't go through parliament. Nobody, no public participation or anything. So it is a figment and a creation of the president. Yani president anachagua referee na anawaambia cha kufanya. Si kama Kenya. You saw the way Kenya was when it came to, reconstitution of IBC. It was chaos. Every person had a say. Everyone. Why not just for Raila Odinga and the handshake? I'm sure by now we wouldn't be having this commission. Because Kenyans walikuwa wamekata mambo mengi sana. Court case after court case. But in Tanzania, you cannot go to court to, stand against the electoral commission in any way. Hata kama ni mtu mmoja amepiga kura wakuja waseme ni watu 1,100, you cannot protest that anywhere. And that is the constitution. So you see, the constitution itself gives Samia Suluhu the power, the mandate to do whatever she wants. And that is why she can do whatever she wanted. But in my opinion, she had a window and a whole gate. With such kind of a constitution, you can actually sit down and say, supposing my enemy was the president and they had this constitution to use against me, what would I expect from that president? And so when you put on the shoes of your opponent, then you sit there and say, we need some constitutional reforms. We need some at least she should have started from there. Immediately she became president, because she wasn't elected as a president. She assumed that office after the death of Magufuli. And so this was the first time she was going to be elected. And it became a shambolic kind of electoral process. Now it's shambolic because it is not the election or Samia Suluhu that the people are rejecting. People are rejecting the constitution that does not give rights to the people to question, to deliberate, to decide on the future of the country. So anybody who sits on that chair of the president and they used that constitution would end up as Samia Suluhu. But a great leader would sit back and say, we need a change. This constitution imepitwa na wakati. Tanzania iko 1963. Hata 1963 Kenya ilikuwa afadhali. Iko sijui times za Moi, when it was just KANU. And Samia Suluhu, whatever she was doing, according to the constitution, it gave her power to do it. But morally speaking, and with the civilization that we are in today in Africa, that constitution is archaic. It's not a progressive constitution. They need a new constitution in Tanzania that would clip the powers of the president. Mwana Kenya, Ruto anapitisha hii, mtu amefika kotini wana nullify. Anajaribu hii wana nullify. Uhuru alifanyiwa the same. Paka anafika mahali anabeba mikono anasema, Okio mtata akuachi. Unafanya hii ndio huyu amefika kotini. Tanzania hakuna hiyo, because the constitution does not give power to the people. Actually, the constitution gives all powers to the president. It's a dictator. It's not even a dictator. It's more of a hell kind of a constitution where the devil is everything. And so if somebody decides to really assume the garments of Satan, they would rule like Satan themselves. And so Tanzania needs first to get a new constitution, a progressive constitution. Samia Suluhu had that opportunity to give the people of Tanzania a new constitution. If she had done that, people would have elected her immediately. People would have loved her. Because what was Tundu Lissu saying? No reforms, no election. Give them reforms. Just give them. Because you're shouting, oh, unasema high cost of living. Okay, it's fine. I'm reducing the cost of living. And then the opposition has nothing to say. That's what Ruto did with the opposition. Aliwa diffuse tu. Mnakuja mnalia mahindi sijui ni bei kali napunguza dinia mahindi. Oh, sijui mafuta imepanda nakuja napunguza. Oh, so at the end of the day hamuna narrative. That is what Samia, but you see, you cannot blame her. She also comes from an institution of archaic constitution, a political scene where ukisema watu wanakimbia. But things have changed. So she had that window to avoid the shame that she has caused Tanzania today. You know, it is shameful. I want you to picture this in Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta is the president. Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Musalia Mudavadi, and who else? These are some of the big names. They are all jailed. And their parties are banned from participating in election. Can you imagine locking Raila Odinga in a cell, locking Martha Karua, locking Kalonzo Musyoka, and then going to an election alone? Unafikiria hii Kenya itakalika? Iko election tafanyika hii Kenya? No. Hakuna. And that's what Samia Suluhu did. You take a person of Tundu Lissu na unamfunga. Una cancel Chadema. Unafunga mtu yoyote mwenye unaona ni powerful and command more than 1 million people maybe in opposition, unafunga yeye, unamtafutia mashtaka. Then you go and prop up, you know, people. So you are running against, for example, now that in Kenya you would see like Uhuru Kenyatta after I'm using this as an example. Please, people have mentioned, forgive me. Uhuru Kenyatta locking up Raila Odinga, locking up Kalonzo Musyoka and Kina Eugene and Kina Martha Karua, the big names. And then now propping up Wajakoya, Peter Salasya. That's the people that Uhuru Kenyatta is running against. That's what Samia Suluhu did. How? I mean, you see, you are running against yourself. You're running against yourself. Of course, wakutangaze tu sasa hii ni vituko gani. But again, no election will be done in such a manner. Ni kama ifike 2027. President William Ruto amue kulock Gachagua, afunge Matiang'i, afunge Kalonzo, afunge Martha Karua, afunge Eugene, aache Salasya, aache Wajakoya. Aseme sasa nyinyi kujeni, nyinyi ndio tunaenda kupishana na nyinyi kwa election. Acheni mchezo bwana. Acheni mchezo.
Right.
That's what she did. Who on earth, a grown person with brains would do such a thing? So muache tu akimbie. Iba kura kama unataka. It's even much better. Si kura inaibwanga. Iko Mwafrika na shidaga tu kura hii Africa. And I'm telling most of the leaders, there is what we call Africa Spring. We had the Arab Spring. We now have Africa Spring. This generation called Gen Z, mumeona they have one character. Gen Z wa Uganda ni same na Gen Z wa Tanzania, ni same na Gen Z wa America, ni same na Gen Z wa Tanzania na wa Kenya. If you take all the Gen Zs in this world and put them together, they think the same. They have a future plan that looks the same. If you provoke them, they will act the same way. They are leaderless, they are borderless. Watu ambao wamepanga hata maandamano ya Tanzania ni Gen Z wa Kenya. And it is not new. Africa is rising. The earlier leaders realize that you're not dealing with millennials. Yeah? Millennials, baba alikuwa akiingia kwa nyumba akisema mnanyenyekea. Gen Z and Alpha generation are different. The earlier you realize you are leading totally different countries than the ones your predecessors left you, you will be saved. But if you think you're going to scare them na jeshis, you are going to scare them with bullets, you're going to scare them and giving very tough speeches, mutawaua tu. Lakini these young people will fight you. These young people will, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So I think we have a story on that, on what transpired in Tanzania during the elections day. Let's have a look at that story.
Usiku wa manane.
The streets of Mwanza glowed under the shimmer of phone flashlights, not street lights. The chants, the defiance, the chaos, all merging into one defining sound, the heartbeat of a nation rebelling in darkness. It was past midnight in Tanzania country under curfew yet wide awake. Thousands marched through the night, ignoring police orders, shouting for change, in what has become one of the most significant nights in Tanzania's modern political history. Inspector General of Police Kalimas Wambura had declared a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. national curfew, a show of force meant to restore calm after a disputed election rocked by allegations of fraud and intimidation. But by the time the sun set, Tanzanians had already chosen defiance. Crowds swelled in Mwanza, Arusha and Dar es Salaam. Tear gas canisters hissed. Gunfire echoed. The internet went dark. Phone networks shattered. And neighborhoods plunged into blackout. It was the state versus the street. Power versus people. In Mwanza, the rebellion burned brightest. Videos managed to leak through despite the blackout. Thousands of people chanting, waving torches and demanding justice. No power on earth can stop an idea whose time has become. One protester shouted, the symbolism was unmistakable. In a country long praised for calm, the silence had finally broken. Police fired live rounds into the air, but it only emboldened the marchers.
La haula wala quwwata illa billah lazim. Mwenyezi Mungu. Tusaidie, la haula la, ona chete hizo zinaboruka. Ona. Yaani ikienda tu kwenye gorofa mimi naogopa hiyo big boy ikikamata moto. Mungu.
And then the city reached its flashpoint. Angry Tanzanian residents set the Nyamanoro police station in Mwanza on fire, a stunning act of defiance that sent shockwaves across the nation. Witnesses described flames consuming the structure as crowds cheered and chanted, "This is the price of oppression." The burning of Nyamanoro wasn't just destruction, it was declaration. For many, it symbolized the people's rejection of fear, their willingness to confront authority head on.
Kituo cha polisi kimeisha chote.
Dar es Salaam, the commercial capital, became a war zone of symbols and smoke. protesters tore down campaign banners of President Samia Suluhu Hassan, set fire to vehicles, and clashed with police in running battles through Kariakoo and Temeke. Regional Commissioner Alfred Chamamila warned citizens that the power that will be used to control the matter is 7 times more than the force applied for planning 8, but that message didn't intimidate, it inflamed.
Hiyo ni gari ya jeshi hiyo. Gari ya jeshi hiyo. Gari ya jeshi hiyo. Gari ya jeshi hiyo. Wananchi wapo na wanajeshi na wananchi wako pamoja.
Then as the night deepened, the protest took an even darker turn. Angry demonstrators allegedly broke into the Tanzania Revenue Authority offices, vandalizing the premises, tearing through offices, and destroying crucial documents. Reports indicate the property and assets of an unknown value were looted in the rampage. To many, the TRA wasn't just a government agency, it was a symbol of state control and corruption. Attacking it wasn't random, it was deliberate. It sent a message. The anger had shifted from streets to systems, from protest to rebellion. Eyewitnesses described the night as a revolution in real time. From Kiela to Arusha, chants of no going home until victory echoed through the darkness. One marcher told reporters, "We are tired. We want an independent electoral commission so that every Tanzanian can choose the leader they want." Others waved torn pieces of campaign posters, shouting, "This is not democracy. This is occupation." Even as tear gas choked the air, the people refused to retreat. The source of the fury was clear. Opposition leader Tundu Lissu, barred from running and currently detained, had issued a defiant statement from his cell accusing the government of tyranny and calling for resistance. His message: rise against this tyranny, because the night's rallying cry. Kenyan political commentator Kebansora captured the moment in a single tweet. For the first time in independent Tanganyika history, Tanzanians have protested a flawed election. Across the border, the region watched in shock and unease. Amnesty International condemned the crackdown. The U.S. Embassy in Dar es Salaam issued a warning to its citizens to shelter in place. The International Crisis Group called it a critical moment for Tanzania's democratic survival, but inside the country, official silence reigned. President Suluhu's administration defended its action as necessary to preserve order, yet the order had already crumbled. The people had spoken in a language older than politics: defiance. As dawn crept over the nation, the damage was visible. Smoke rose over Dar es Salaam's skyline. The TRA offices lay in ruins, and in Mwanza, the blackened shell of the Nyamanoro police station stood as a haunting moment to the night's chaos. But amid the destruction, something else had emerged, a sense of awakening for a nation long defined by calm obedience. October 30th, 2025 will be remembered as the night Tanzania chose to stand, not just against a curfew, but against silence itself. And the world now awaits to see whether this awakening will bring reform or ruin. For Maisa TV, I'm William Juma.
All right, that is a story there done by reporter William Juma. What do you make of that?
African presidents, watch out. There's another one. Kwanza watu wa AU. I have told you before, AU wanafaa kupigwa viboko wafukuzwe. The African Union is a use. I told you it's a village elders congregation. Ni a cattle dip. Congregation of elders wanakuja. Paul Biya 93 going for an 8th term. Surely. And you have a AU chairperson.
But he won the election.
What do you mean? Kwani amkuwa na observers huko mkona hii ni vituko bure? And I'm telling you, AU wako nenda congratulate nani.
Even in Tanzania I saw envoy from AU complaining they had no access to polling stations.
No, but the chairperson will come out and say we congratulate Samia Suluhu for her win, because of course they are going to announce Samia Suluhu as the winner unless something happens and Watanzania wakatae kabisa jeshi chukue. And in fact the best solution ni wakwe na transition government yakikisha there's a new constitution and then they go now to fresh election. Samia Suluhu should just vacate that office. But I'm telling you, AU hawezi ongea vile mimi naongea. AU is a very confused village elders gathering. Very confused. As you Raila Odinga alikuwa, maybe Raila angekuwa huko labda angeleta change. That's a most useless body. Most useless, I'm telling you. How do you have these African presidents wanakufia kwa kiti? Museveni yako anasema ati munipatie one more term ati nitawatoa kwa poverty. For over 40 years what have you been doing? Mbona hukutoa watu kwa poverty? Kwani ni nini yenye ungefanya utafanya in 2 years yenye ulishindwa kufanya in 40 years? What is it? And we congratulate so and so. People are dying, people are being shot dead. Watu wanapigwa marisasi live. Angalia Sudan watu wanakufa. RSF inamaliza wasee. AU wako tu pale ku congratulate Biya wa Cameroon. Na Cameroon kinaumana. As we are talking right now, people are dying. Jeshi inapiga watu marisasi wanakufa. Saizi watu wamekata huyo Paul Biya. Boss, so uende home. You've done your part. You've achieved. You cannot do everything. Serikali ni kitu mnapokeza, ni relay. You do your part, ukimaliza kama ni 5 years, 10 years, ukimaliza patia mwingine aendeleshe, namna hiyo. But these presidents who want to die on the seat, kazi yao tu ni kutoa age limit na kutoa term limit. Hiyo tu ndio wimbo yao. If you work that way, alafu mnasema mnataka kukua first world country, you will never be. Because every government must work in relay form. Do your part, jenga mabarabara zako. Ruto anajenga ma stadium. Nimeona yeye amekwama na ma stadium sijui na nini. Jenga hizo vitu zako, ukimaliza pokezea mwingine, ajenge vitu atajenga, akimaliza pokezea mwingine namna hiyo, na by the time 40 years, 50 years zinaisha, Kenya imegrow. But you see, when you have this one person mwenye akili yake maybe imekwama kwa stadiums, sasa si anaweza wajengea stadiums for the next 40 years. Utakuwa unatoka hivi nje ya nyumba uko na stadium. Utakuwa unaenda hivi kwa soko, badala ya kuuza watu wako kwa wanacheza futa, kuna stadium kwa soko. We need somebody else to come and do something else. So that is why you cannot have an Africa continent where presidents wamekatalia pale. Mtu ana rule. Unazaliwa ni president. Unaenda primary ni president. Secondary, unaenda university, unaoa, unazaa watoto wako wanaoa, wanazaa wajukuu, bado ni president. No, it doesn't happen like that. Patia watu wengine nafasi bwana. You cannot be a genius who knows it. You should be disbanded. AU wanafaa kupigwa viboko. Sasa ukiona wamekaa tu smiling, waiting to congratulate. What are you congratulating? What are you yani it has to take a coup in Africa for some Africans to get some development. Burkina Faso. Yani it has to take a coup. Ndio watu waone barabara bwana. Yani people have to get tired to go to the streets. Why are Africans on the streets? Why are East Africans going to the streets? Sasa saizi Uganda, it will have to take a protest. A protest. Nakwambia ukweli, for a regime change. Haiwezi kuwa watu wamepiga kura wakakukataa na ukasema watu wangu mimi naona mmenikataa. Hata siku ya kupiga kura niliona mliprotest. Badala ya kura ikakuwa protest. Mimi ninaamua ni resign kwa sababu mmenikataa. Mimi nimewaachia Mungu, mimi nimeenda. Chagueni mtu mwenye mnaona anafaa. Kukuwe na amani. Wacha watu kawa wanachagua nyang'au, hiyo nyang'au iwakule. Waseme hata afadhali ule mwenye tulifukuza. Kama ni nani alirudishwa?
Malawi.
Yes, Malawi. Si aliwaachia akasema mmechagua huyu. Mmeamua pastor akuwe president. Haya, kaeni na pastor wenu. Pastor akawatesa. Mwisho wakasema hapana, hata afadhali wewe urudi. Hata kawe ni mzee, rudi. Huyu pastor tumtaki. Wakamtoa. That is how democracy should work. Even though development inapatikana. Otherwise, imagine kama huyo pastor angeamua kukatalia hapo. Uko unatesa watu, uko unaharibu institutions, hauna mbele wala nyuma, vitu unaongea make sense, we ni muongo, we ni mukora, we ni muuaji, na umekatalia kwa kiti. Sutoke. Toka watu wachague mtu wanataka. We nawa mikono, umeiba ya kutosha, umekula ya kutosha, watoto wako wako sawa, mali yako mtu hataguza, nini na nini, you'll be protected. We toka, acha nchi baki kwa amani, hawa watu wameamua, waachie uamuzi yao. But hii issue ya African presidents, mtu anakatalia kwa kiti. Na kuna village elders wako huko Addis Ababa. Wamekaa, wanangoja nani amekatalia kiti? So and so. We congratulate that one. That one, we congratulate you. That is my parting shot.
All right.
Africa should rise, man. Africa needs to change. We need to change our mentality. Tanzania wapewe constitution mpya bado. What sort of a document is that? That somebody is declared president na uwezi contest kwa court of law. Court of people are protesting. Watu wako learn from Kenya. Kenya people are protesting na watu wako kwa parliament. Finance bill, the eyes have it. Na parliament iko inaungua. The same thing is happening to Tanzania. They are declared sijui Mwanza, sijui ngapi. Na wase wako hapo nje wako wanawasha moto. These people never learn. They never learn. Why do you want to ban the country? Kama watu wamekukataa enda home. Sema mtanikumbuka. Raila Odinga used to say that. 2007 ameibiwa kura. Mara ngapi Raila ameibiwa kura hii Kenya? Anakuja anasema ni sawa. Nimenawa mikono. Kama hivyo ndo mmeamua mtanikumbuka, na anaenda. Uhuru Kenyatta alimaliza zake akaenda. Kibaki akamaliza zake akaenda. Ruto atamaliza zake aende. Na hivi vituko ingine hii ya mtu kukatalia kwa kiti, hii ni unyama. Hiyo ni constitution yenye inatoka kwa shetani. Right. Wacha watu 60 million, kuna watu ambao wanaweza ongoza. Na wakishindwa watu watawatoa kwa kiti. Lakini AU, si mnanisikianga? AU nyinyi ni bure kabisa.
Thank you.
Bure kabisa.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for your opinions here on the show. Remember, the opinions raised on this discussion are personal opinions and not the opinions of Maisa TV. Thank you for keeping it here. My name is Ridah Kering Chebet. Bye-bye for now. I'll be back with Newsroom Talk.